guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be making 2 projects that I made for the One Stamp at a Time blog hop. We do a blog hop every second Thursday of the month. And this time our theme was to use something from the new mini, the January to April mini. And I'm going to be using the Dainty Delight Bundle. So this is the card I'll be making, and then I'll be making a little 3D box, and I'll show you that here once we're done with the card. So if you'd like to stamp along with me, just look down the blog description below and click on that blog post link, and then scroll down near the bottom, and you'll find the supply list and the dimensions that you need to go cut out your paper and get your supplies together to come make it with me. And also, make sure you check out the list of all the other blog hop members. There are really some really good demonstrators in this blog hop, and I don't want you to miss their projects too, because I know they're going to have some great ones too. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first off, I want to show you the Dainty Delight Bundle. This is what I'll be featuring in both my projects. Now, on the card, I actually am just going to use the stamp set. So I'm going to be using these 2 big flower ones here, and the Thank You for Your Kindness. So those will be all the stamps that we use. But you can purchase these. Like I said, they're in the January to April mini catalog. And if you purchase them together as a bundle, you'll save 10% versus buying them separately. But I love all the different dies. I had a lot of fun making these 2 projects, and I can't wait to make more with it. I'm also using the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. This is brand new. And sometimes you can't see what it looks like in the folder, but you'll see it when it's embossed. You'll see that here in a little bit. I love this new folder. And I'm also using the stitched rectangles dies. These we've had for a while. And I'm going to use the number 2 die from this set right here. Okay, first off, we're going to get some stamping done. This is a piece of basic white. It's 4 1/4 by 3. And I'm going to bring the largest flower stamp first, and my Tuxedo Black Memento pad. I'm going to ink this up. And when I use my Tuxedo, I twist this a little bit, and I think it inks it up so much better. If you just tap it, a lot of times it doesn't get on the stamp very well. So I found twisting does help a lot. And then I'm just going to be stamping a partial of this over here on the side. There we go. Hold that down for a few seconds so the ink takes hold. There we go. So now we've got this one on, and then I wanted to add a little more flowers here. So I'm going to take this one that's just a little bit smaller, ink it up with the Memento, and I'm going to put it right about here. Okay, so that is all the stamping I'm going to do on this piece. I'm going to be coloring it with my blends. I'm using Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia. I'm using the Daffodil Delight, but I'm only using the dark one, and the Old Olive Stampin' Blends. So first off, I'm going to start with my Flirty Flamingo. This is how I use my blends. There are different ways of using them. I like to start with the dark color first. So with my pink flowers, I'm going to start right here at the base of the petal and just put a little bit of the dark Flirty Flamingo on here. Going over it a little bit again, because you do want to put like a couple layers of it down so it soaks through the cardstock. That helps it blend a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all the ones that I want to be pink. Okay, that's all my dark Flirty Flamingo. And when you use blends, make sure you use a really light touch. Actually, that is Flirty Flamingo. For a minute, I thought I picked up Fresh Freesia. You want to use a really light touch, because it'll start fraying your tip for one thing if you go too hard, but you also don't need to do it real hard. It soaks into the cardstock really nice just using that light touch. And I'm using brush strokes. I'm not scribbling back and forth. I'm going down to where the dark is, going over that, and then it's kind of like making it bleed a little bit so the dark comes up and blends in with the light one. That's the way you have a nice, soft look to it. You still see the shading, but they blend together really nicely. So I'm going to keep doing this, just making sure I definitely go over places where the dark and the light meet. That way they blend really well. Okay, I've got all the Fresh Freesia done. Flirty Flamingo. Now I'm going to do the Fresh Freesia. So I'm going to bring in the dark of the Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to have all of these flowers down here be the purple, and these little ones up here be purple. And I'll just do all these, since they're so small, I'm just going to use the dark. But down here at the base of it again, I'm going to use the dark, and then I'll fill it in, the rest of it in with the light Flirty Flamingo. And when I do these flowers here, I'm just doing like a dot right at the base. They're pretty small, but you really can see the difference rather than just doing it all light. So I'm just kind of tapping it a couple times to make sure I'm putting enough ink there. And then another reason to use a really light touch, I think the point here is even sharper than the blunt tip here. So I use a really light touch on these real little ones. And I'm okay that I got out of the lines a little bit. Really, these are kind of like, I wanted to look more like a watercolor effect too, not just coloring them in with markers. And when you do the watercolor effect, a lot of times you get out of the lines. That's actually part of the technique. So I'm okay if it goes out just a little bit in this case. Now I'm going to use my light freesia. And these, I'm not going to worry about doing the light, but I will do the light on these to fill these in and also blend in the dark with the light like I did with the pink ones. Okay, I'm all done with fresh freesia. I'm going to take the dark Daffodil Delight and, nope, that's my blunt tip. That would definitely work too, but I like using the brush tip better. Sometimes my blunt tip too seems to color a lot lighter, and I have to go over it a few more times. So I kind of like this one. It's just whatever your preference is. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to use Daffodil Delight center that one. There's a little bit of a center to this one. And then this one here, I decided to make all of these yellow. Okay, now I'm going to do all the leaves. So I'm going to take the dark Old Olive and do the same as I did with the petals. I'm going to be putting all the dark here at the base of the leaves. Okay, now I did the same thing like when I did with these little ones here, or these little purple ones here. I just put little dots. That's kind of what I did on some of these little leaves too. Now this really little bitty one right here, that's just going to be the light Old Olive. So now I'm going to color the rest of the leaves in with the light Old Olive, doing the same as I did with the flowers. I'm blending. Going over the dark again to blend it into the light Old Olive. Okay, now there's one leaf I forgot to put a little dark here at the bottom, so I'm just going to add a little bit here. Yep, I don't think I need to blend that. That's fine. And then I also noticed there's so many little flowers, it's easy to miss this. Oh, I want my light Flirty Flamingo. So I forgot to finish this flower off. There we go. Now I'm all done coloring, and I decided I wanted to have like a little bit of a haze on this. So I'm bringing in my So Saffron ink pad and a blending brush. And I'm going to start here in the corner, actually off of the paper a little bit. That's why you always, when you use a blending brush, make sure you put some grid paper or scrap paper underneath so you can start off of it and then come up. That way when you put this down, you don't get this really dark blotch right here. So you start off here, kind of go in circles, and then go out here. The way I'm doing this, I would rather have it darker down here and lighter up here. If I want to add some more, then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to lightly do it down here again, and maybe get a little harder as I start using up the ink, because I just want a faint yellow on there. So I don't know if you can see that, but it looks really neat in person. So I'm done with that. We're going to do one more thing to stamp. Okay, now we're going to take a piece of fresh freesia. This is a 3.5 by 1.5 inch piece. I'm going to bring my Stampin' Pierce mat back out. Now you don't have to have one of these, but I think even with the rubber stamp set, the cling stamp set, but I like using it. I think it makes it stamp better. You definitely want this with photopolymer, but I think it works really good with the rubber too. Okay, now I am using pieces that come in the Embossing Editions toolkit. This was in the holiday catalog, but it is still available to purchase. So what you do, you put this, kind of tap it a little bit. It takes all the moisture, it's called an embossing buddy, out of the cardstock, okay? The only thing I want the embossing powder to stick on is what I'm stamping. So I'm using my Versamark ink pad, and then using the Thank You for Your Kindness. I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to stamp this here in the middle. Okay. And then you can use the little embossing, I can't think what, powder pal that comes with the kit, with the additions kit. But I've already had my white in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this up in here. So take some of this. You just put it right on top. This is called heat embossing in case you haven't heat embossed before. There is a little brush that comes in the kit too. So if I see any where powder where I don't want it, I can kind of flick that off. Looks pretty good. Go ahead and get this out of the way. And something else that comes in the embossing additions kit are these wonderful tweezers. I love these tweezers. They're really heavy duty. I was really impressed with these when I got them. And it has a plastic tip. And I noticed that it doesn't hurt the cardstock. Sometimes I've got pair of tweezers that are all metal, and sometimes it kind of puts little dents into the cardstock. Well, this doesn't. Now I need my heat tool. Go ahead and turn this on. And it's probably going to be a little hard. I'm going to angle it and see if that helps so you can see it. But look at the kindness word, especially the S's. I'm keeping the heat tool here. Once it heats up, then you start to see everything start to turn white. I'm going to stop this for a second. See how this is all white? That's what you want it to look like. That means it's melted and it's ready to go. This is still powdery, so I need to keep melting it. Just like magic. So now we've got it heat embossed and ready to go. And this is going to be die cut out with that rectangle die that we had. So that is all the stamping we're going to do. So I'm going to get the my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out. Okay, I just had to get my boho blue. Isn't this gorgeous? This is my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You can get this free if you join my team during Sale-A-Bration, which is through February 28th of 2023. The kit, when you get the mini added to it, it's $129. So you get this plus $175 worth of product, a paper pumpkin kit, you get free shipping, you get a business supply kit that includes 8 each of all the current catalogs that are going on right now. It's a really, really good deal for only $129. You can pick either the blue one, the boho blue, and this is a new in color, by the way, that'll be coming out in May, or you can still get the white one that's in the catalog. And this is a $63 value. So you get like $344 worth of product and business supplies and free shipping with that $129. Now, if you don't want this, you can also do the $99 starter kit and you get everything I listed except for the machine. But I wanted to show you how easy this is to use. I love this. And a lot of our dies do fit it, just as long as this is like around 3.5 inches. So you don't want anything that's wider than that. And it comes with all of the plates that you need. And for die cutting, you need the white one and then 2 standard cutting plates. I'm going to grab this guy here. First, let's put the bottom plate down. And then I'm going to put this on top. I'm going to get some Post-it tape. I got this on Amazon. This just helps it stay in place, and being the Post-it adhesive that's on it, it comes off really easy so I don't tear my cardstock. So I'm going to get this right in the middle. I'm kind of looking at it for your kindness to see if I've got it straight. I'm going to put this right in the middle. I think that'll hold it. If it was longer, I'd get 2 pieces on each side, but I think that's going to hold it pretty good. Yep, that looks good. You just run it through, and I'm putting it in at an angle. It seems to cut, and it doesn't pop as much when you have the corner start to go in first, and it doesn't warp your dies either. So I'm going to take this off, and now we have our stitched rectangle. Now that is all of the die cutting we're doing right now. We'll bring this out for the next project in a few minutes. Okay, now we're going to finish putting this card together. I'm going to grab my card base. This is a piece of Blushing Bride, 5.5 by 8.5. So I'll just line those corners up. Get my bone folder. Get that crease going here. So that's ready to go. I went ahead and already embossed this because I wanted to use my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This one is too big to go in that one, so you need the standard sized one. But there are folders that will fit the mini, and they come in 2 folders in a pack, which is really nice, and they coordinate together. I love those. But this one is that cane one, so isn't that cool? I told you it would be really neat when you saw it. So I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of the Dainty Flowers DSP. This paper is gorgeous. It is part of Sale-A-Bration. It's a 12 by 12 pack. And if you purchase the whole pack, if you place a $50 order before shipping and tax, you can get the whole pack for free during Sale-A-Bration. And I love that it matches this bundle. So if you want the bundle, make sure, actually, when you buy the bundle, it's over $50. So buy the bundle, then you can choose this as your free Sale-A-Bration item. So it's a really good deal. And also, if you get your order in before the 12th, you can get in on my Country Bouquet card class at home. If you're watching after that, I'll have another host gift. Just look down below for my current host code offer link, and you can go to that and see what you can get when you use my host code when you order from me. I've always got something that you're going to get, and usually it's going to be a card class at home. Get the supplies for free to make the cards that I make in my weekly Tuesday lives. So this one is a 1.5 by 4 inch piece. And I'm going to put it right along the left side of my embossed piece. I really like this. Let's see, what was it called again? Cane weave. You can put this right along, line those edges up. There we go. Isn't that pretty? And then I wanted to have kind of like a silver ribbon. And this is real close. This is the gray granite shimmer ribbon that's in the annual catalog. This is a 6-inch piece. Let me grab my silicone mat here. That way I don't get any adhesive on my workspace. There we go. And I'll just put this right along the edge. I'm kind of covering up the DSP just a little bit. And when I say DSP, I mean designer series paper. Just a lot faster to say DSP. Some of the people that have been around Stampin' Up for a long time that are watching, you know what DSP means. But I know sometimes there are new people out there and they're like, what on earth does that mean? So there we go. We've got that ready. Now that we have the ribbon on there, it's safe to put this on the card base. So make sure I've got some in the corners. And I always put a little bit over the ribbon because I want to make sure the ribbon stays stuck down too on my card base. Let me just put this right in the center. Okay. Then I'm going to grab a piece of So Saffron. This is a 4 3/8 by 3 1/8 inches. I'm going to grab this piece that I colored here a few minutes ago and see, yes, it does soak through the cardstock, and that's what you want. So that makes it so it blends a lot better. Okay, and then I wanted a narrow border. That's why I did the odd sizes, a 4 3/8 by 3 1/8. So it's just going to go right in the center. And then we will put this in the center of the card. Like so. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to bring in the greeting, and I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. And it is kind of long, so I'm going to put one on each end. So I'm going to go ahead and put one in the middle too. That way I know it's not going to cave in. Take off those paper backings. And I'm going to line the right edge of this with the right edge of the embossed layer. I'm going to put it just about right here. Make sure it looks straight. And I think it does. So I'm going to push it down all the way. I always make sure it's straight before I push it down all the way. Okay, we're almost done with the front. Let's go ahead and put the inside in. I went ahead and already stamped it and colored it in because you saw me color this one in. I did the exact same technique as I did with this one. But I do want to put some yellow on this like I did before. So I'm going to grab my grid paper again. My So Saffron. Since this doesn't take long, I thought I would go ahead and do this again. Coloring takes a little while, so the video would get too long. So I'm going to start here in the bottom corner again and go up. And actually, I think that's probably pretty good. I put enough ink in this thing now, I'm not having to add as much. So now I've got that nice little yellow glow to it around the flowers. And this will just go right on the inside of the card. I always like to make the inside of my cards coordinate with the outside. And if you don't want to color the flowers in on the inside, you could probably just stamp it with Blushing Bride and it would look really pretty. But I actually made this as a birthday card last week for my best friend. So I wanted, and I really liked how it turned out. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this in the blog hop too. But the happy birthday does not come with this set. So I used another stamp set to make it a birthday card. But there we go. We've got that. But I wanted to add one more thing. And I'm using the Dragonfly Trinkets. These are so cool. Let me see if I can bring that up to you so you can see it a little bit. There we go. I really like these a lot. And they're not real fat, so you can mail them. I mean, take that. I said that wrong. They are really flat. They're not raised up. So you can mail these. Because when I put this down, it's actually either the same height as this being popped up, or maybe even a little lower. So it works out really good. Now I'm going to use some glue dots. And I think the biggest areas on here are the wings rather than the center. So I'm going to put a glue dot here on this wing and a glue dot on this wing. Now the glue dots are still just a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do, any place where I see the glue dots showing, they're pliable. So you can just fold those down, get them behind so they're not showing from the front anymore. Angle it to me so I can see, yep, that looks good. And I'm going to put it right here and push it down. And now the card is done. So I hope you had fun making the card. Hope you liked watching me make the card too, if you didn't make it along with me. And now I'm going to make a little box that'll go along with this. Okay, now I'm ready for the little bag I made that coordinates with it. This is made with the Delicate Details treat boxes that are in the annual catalog. I've had these for a while, and the first time I've actually used them, and they are so easy to make. And aren't they gorgeous? I just love that. And these are see-through. You'll see that in just a minute. I put some Blushing Bride cardstock behind it, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. Okay, once again, I'm using the Dainty Delight Bundle, and I wanted to show you the dies I used. I only used one die this time, so I've got this die here. And the stamps I used this big one here, and then the Celebrate You. So that's all you need from this bundle. I'm using the stitched rectangles again. This time I'm going to use the smallest one out of the big set. Okay, now I'm going to stamp my greeting. So I got a piece of fresh freesia. It's 3 by 1.5. And I'm going to emboss it just like I did with the first one. So I'm going to grab my embossing buddy and get that cardstock good and dry. It's not wet, but you know what I mean. It does get moisture to it. And then we've got my white embossing powder ready. I'm going to grab the Celebrate You. Sorry, my voice is starting to get messed up. I've been sick the last week. I'm doing a lot better, but the sinus part's not wanting to go away. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink pad. And I'm going to stamp it towards the right, and not all the way over, because I don't want it right in the center of my rectangle this time. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this in to my white, scoop some up. There we go. Oh, and it looks like I got a little Versamark where I didn't want it, so let me get my trusty brush out. So I got the outline of the stamp that time, but that's okay. It'll come right off. Just as long as you get it off, you won't be able to see it anymore. There we go. So that's ready to go. Get this out of the way. I always want to get my embossing powder out of the way before I start using my heat tool, because I'm always afraid I'm going to start melting what's inside that container. I'm going to get this out of the way too, because I don't want to melt this. Get these wonderful tweezers out again. And we'll get this to look white, just like we did with the first project. Okay, that's all ready to go. Now I'm going to bring just the paper in this time. I already did what I did with the card for the inside. You already saw me stamp and color this in on the card at the beginning. So I went ahead and did that ahead of time. And once again, I want this to have that yellow glow behind it. So I'm going to grab my So Saffron again. And this time, because I am going to die cut this out, I'm just going to start here at the bottom rather than going from the corner. Make that a little darker on the bottom. And just go over, because I'm going to be putting this on the box that's actually white. So I thought I didn't want to have too much of a white border. I wanted this to be a little different from the box. So there, we've got that nice yellow tint all the way around. I'm not going to worry about getting it all over, because I'm just going to be die cutting that out. It's a really neat effect when we get done. So that is all the stamping we need to do. So let's get the die cutting machine out again. Okay, we're going to get this ready for die cutting again. So we've got that white plate with the standard cutting plate. It's a mini cutting plate. I'm used to staying standard all the time with the big machine. Then we're going to put this here. Here's the die for it. And this is so much easier to die cut than fussy cut. You definitely can fussy cut it if you don't have a die cutting machine. It's so much easier with the die cutting machine. Okay, so when you line up our dies, just make sure the image is right inside the window. You don't want to have any white or the cardstock showing around the perimeter of the stamped image. Just want the die completely around it. Put another standard cutting plate on top. We'll run this through real quick. We'll take this off. And here we go. We've got this, and it's got that little yellow tint to it. And you'll see how much different it looks when you put it next to the white box. And we have one more thing to die cut, so we'll get this set up again. I'm going to grab that Celebrate You and grab that rectangle. Like I said, I want that more on the right. So I'm looking at that U again, because that is definitely straight on the bottom. The Celebrate kind of goes different directions. So I'm looking at the one that's definitely straight. And that looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one on each end. Run this through. I forgot to put it at an angle, so it was a little harder to get it through. So it also makes it so it goes through the machine a lot easier if you put the corner in first. But it still works if you forget to do that, as I just showed you. Let me get this tape off. Oh, that's the first time that's happened. Usually it doesn't have any trouble. It could be the tape has been smashed enough inside there. That one did just fine. But there we go. It didn't hurt my rectangle. So there we go. So we've got that ready to go. So we'll get the die cutting machine out of the way, and we'll make the box. Okay, I've got the box out. I love this lace part behind it. Isn't that neat? Now, so you know which is the outside of the box. You want the tape to be facing up, okay? This is actually the inside of the box. So make sure this is facing up. That tells you that's the top. So we are going to want to fold all of these back then, right? So let's go ahead and turn it over. And we will fold these in. And I always burnish these. That's what this is called. That way, when you go to put it together, it's a lot easier to put together because the score lines have already been folded and you don't have to battle that later. So we'll get these here. And kind of do it this way. I can tell I'm getting out of the camera. Sorry about that. And we'll go ahead and do this here. And this one, I think that will be it. Yep, I got them all done. Oh, no, I didn't. I forgot. We've got some little score lines up here at the top. So we'll go ahead and get those done too. But this box is super easy to put together, and I love that the adhesive is already on it. So it makes it really easy. Now, also, there are little holes here. We can take these out because we don't need these. These are so we can close it with some ribbon. So go ahead and get these out. And I wanted to have this pink behind it instead of just clear. You could definitely just keep it clear. It looks really pretty that way. But I'm going to take a piece of Blushing Bride. This is a 3 1/4 by 5 inch piece. I'm going to bring in a silicone mat. I'm going to turn this over. So I've got, there's the outside, so I've got the inside here. I'm going to take my multi-purpose glue. And I'm just going to put some in the big areas. I'm not going to worry about all these little ones. And anything that is outside of this straight edge right here, see how there's like a straight edge here, but some of these flowers are kind of sticking out. I don't want any glue on those. And see what I'll do, I'll just show you. We'll put this down here. It fits right inside the score lines. So these areas, we don't want any glue on, okay? So I will come down here. Let's see how high up it goes. So we don't even want any on the very top of these flowers either. So I'm going to make sure I do more down here. I don't even think I'm going to bother with any up there. Just kind of put glue in all the big areas. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. And then I'll just take this and put it right in the middle. I'm going to slowly put it down. I don't want to have to scoot it. That's the word I'm looking for. Too much, because then the glue will start showing on the openings in this lace cut out. So making sure that's done, putting pressure on it to make sure it's in there good. That looks pretty good. So there's that. So now we've got a nice pink piece behind that. And now to put this, oh, I take that back. We don't want to put it together yet. It's a lot easier to decorate it while it's flat. So this is going to be put on with dimensionals, and then I'm going to stick this around here. I'm okay with it hanging over where this is going to fold. I kind of like that look anyway. But I do remember that I want it to kind of be in between these little sections here. So I'm not going to put any dimensionals on these two things coming out here, since I'm going to be scooting this underneath it. I think it's easier to put this down after this is put on. So let me grab my dimensionals. I'll put one up here. And let's put something down here. Just put in a couple little places. And then this one is not going to be in the way of my putting this down. So I'm going to grab my paper snips. I'm going to cut off one of these little half pieces. And I'm going to put it right here on this flower here, just so that can be popped up too. These will still be popped up, but I want to be able to slide this underneath. So we're not going to put anything there. Let me take the pick tool. We'll get all of these off. And I want to make sure I don't cover up these holes. And I'm going to show you what to do with these holes too. So we did just cover those up. I could have put the cardstock so it went underneath here and these would just be clear up here. But I want the whole thing to have the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. Make sure it stays underneath the holes up here. But I don't want it to go past this score line here because that's our bottom. I'm okay with it coming over this score line here. It'll just hang over the sides of the box and actually look kind of cool that way. But see how you can, I like having the white and the background of this to be different. It makes it so you can see it a little better. Then we've got the Celebrate You. Since that's the one I put dimensionals on, this one I'm going to be just using regular adhesive. Put a couple strips there. And I didn't put it all the way to the end. I know that's where my Celebrate is, because that's going to hang over a little bit. So I didn't want an adhesive be showing there. Just kind of try to get it straight. That looks good. And if you're really worried about seeing a little pink here, you could take your scissors and kind of cut those little notches out. But I think it looks fine, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now we have, oh no, we don't have everything. I almost forgot. We got to put a dragonfly on this. We've got one on the card, so we need to do it on the box. So I'm going to put this down. Let me find my glue dots. We're going to do the same that we did with the card, if you're making this with me. Put that there. Another one on this wing. And then when you lift it up, and you kind of have to help the glue dot up sometimes. I've got some showing here, so I'm going to fold it over and make sure it goes behind my dragonfly, because I don't want any adhesive, any sticky stuff outside of this, or it might stick onto something, and we don't want that to happen. And then I'm going to I want to put it up here. I went back and forth, and I thought this looked better. So I'm going to put it here, so it's a little bit on my greeting and a little bit on the bag itself. Okay? So now we will put this bag together. We've got it all decorated. I'll turn this over. I'm going to fold this down. It looks like I need to fold this just a little bit because the cardstock being there, it's kind of up against the score line, so you do need to kind of refold those again. I'm going to take the paper backing off. You can take your pick tool, just your fingers. It comes off pretty easy, which is nice. Oops, except I keep dropping it. There we go. Now, when you go to do this, make sure this edge here is right along the score line, okay? And I'm going to have to kind of go underneath my little greeting. It's kind of going to go up against it. Let's see how I've got that right along the score line, and then push it down, put pressure on it so it comes together. So that's what it's going to look like on the inside. So I think it's easier to get this front side done first. So I'll take the paper backing off of this one. I'm going to line the edge with the score line again. That looks pretty good. Push those together. Now we can do the back, and it goes together the same way. The edge of the side of the box with the score line. Line it up. And then push it down. If you can't get your fingers in there, grab your bone folder, and you can have your thumb on the outside and your bone folder on the inside to put the pressure together, put on it. Because you definitely want to squeeze it together so the adhesive takes hold. And then put this inside, line up the score line again. I'm going to take my bone folder and get that pressure. If I can get hold of my bone folder, there we go. I've got it right up against there, so I've got something hard underneath there to hold that in. So that's ready to go. You can put whatever gift you want inside. It's a nice size box, so you could get a nice gift in there. Fold that down, and then we're going to tie this together. But as you notice, we don't have a hole punch, but I did have my old crocodile. You could also take scissors and poke holes in there if you wanted to. But like I said, too, you could just, I think it was like 4.5 inches maybe, or 4.25 inches high, so you don't cover up the holes. Oops, help if I went to the right section. So I'm using the bigger hole if you've got the crocodile, and just take that out, make some holes again. Well, there we go. Put this back there. So any hole punch should work. Okay, now I'm going to grab a piece of the granite gray shimmer ribbon. It's a 15-inch piece. And I'm going to thread it through here first. I think it's easier to thread it through the back and then go through the front instead of trying to do them both at the same time. Okay, try to make it so that's straight and not twisted. Then I'm going to make it go through to the front. Okay, and see I got that twisted a little bit, so let's untwist it. There we go. Now I'm going to tie it. First I'll just do like a single knot. Oops, help if I got the single knot going. Well, my goodness, my fingers aren't working. Okay, then I'm going to make it so my ribbon is at the top and the bottom, so it's kind of like a vertical line, okay? Tighten it up. I'm going to take the bottom piece, make my loop. Then this is the one I'm going to bring down and twist around. And when I do it like that, that's usually how I can get my bow to go the direction I want instead of like up and down or the diagonal. So we've got that pretty good. This is a little twisted. See if I can fix that. Oh, much better. Okay, so now we've got that ready to go. You can always, if it's not going the way you want, hold on to the knot of the bow and just kind of bring these down. And see, that brought it down a lot better. And I'm going to grab my scissors. This one is still a little twisted. I'm going to cut it at an angle, the ends, so they're even and to the length that I want them to be. And we are done with the gift bag. So definitely get these if you like the looks of this. I really, really like these bags, and I was really impressed with how fast they went together, and they're made nice and sturdy. I really like them. So I'll bring the card back in. So you could give the card if you're thanking someone, and then give them a little gift to go along with it so they coordinate together. So I hope you enjoyed today's projects, and make sure you go back to my blog post, click that link below in the video description, and check out all the other blogs that are in the blog hop. There are like 7 or 8 of us, I think, something like that this month. So I hope you enjoy all the other projects. And thanks for stamping with me. If you want to stamp with me again, please click that subscribe button below. And when you do that, you should be able to find a bell icon. Click on it and then select all. And YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video so you don't miss anything. And if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours. And I'd love to send out the new catalogs to you. There, oops, don't need that one anymore. I thought I got rid of that one. These are the ones that are available right now. The annual catalog. This is the new January to April catalog that this bundle, the Dainty Delight Bundle, was in. And here's Sale-A-Bration, where the paper was, the Dainty Flowers paper, DSP, that you can get free with a $50 order. So buy the bundle, and then you can get the paper for free. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Here are the projects again. I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope you have a great day. See you later, guys. Bye.